Vince McMahon is having the worst time of his life right now. He's facing one of the craziest lawsuits ever thrown at him.
Now, she does claim that during this, apparently, Vince somehow managed to shit on her head.
Yeah, that's the kind of story we're dealing with. But just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, Brock Lesnar's name got dragged into the mix, and now things have gone nuclear. A party photo just resurfaced showing Vince and Brock together, and the internet is losing it. So what does this mean for both of them? And why is WWE suddenly acting like they've never heard of these two? Let's get straight into it. The party that sparked a scandal. At first glance, it looked like a harmless throwback, just a casual photo from Vince McMahon's 77th birthday bash in August 2022, featuring big names like Brock Lesnar, Pat McAfee, John Cena, and Cena's wife. But once the image resurfaced online, it didn't take long for the internet to catch fire. Suddenly, what seemed like an ordinary celebrity gathering turned into the centerpiece of a much deeper controversy, one tied to a lawsuit that's shaken the wrestling world to its core. So what's really going on? To understand the current buzz, we need to rewind and take a closer look at the lawsuit fueling all this tension. In January 2024, a former WWE employee named Janelle Grant filed a lawsuit against Vince McMahon, WWE, and John Laurinaitis, accusing them of serious misconduct, mistreatment, and negligence. The allegations sent shockwaves through both the wrestling world and the broader public, ultimately leading to McMahon's resignation as executive chairman of TKO Group that same month. Then on January 31st, 2025, the lawsuit was amended, and that's where Brock Lesnar comes back into the picture. According to the updated complaint, McMahon allegedly offered Grant to Lesnar in 2021 and instructed her to create personalized content for him as part of negotiations tied to Lesnar's WWE contract. While Lesnar is not listed as a defendant, meaning he isn't being sued directly, his alleged involvement has raised serious questions and added new layers to an already complex and troubling case. The allegations are, to put it mildly, disturbing. The lawsuit claims that McMahon shared explicit photos and videos of Grant with Lesnar, and there was even a planned sexual encounter between Lesnar and Grant that allegedly did not occur because Lesnar was too intoxicated or unable to travel due to weather issues. These are serious accusations that have had real consequences for all involved. Let's take a closer look at what the original lawsuit alleged. According to the lawsuit, Vince McMahon forced Grant into a sexual relationship to maintain her employment and used WWE resources to traffic her to others. The allegations are extensive and graphic, detailing numerous instances of alleged misconduct. In one particularly shocking allegation from the original lawsuit, Grant claimed that during a threesome, McMahon defecated on her head.
Now, she does claim that during this, apparently, Vince somehow managed to shit on her head. And Vince then nipped off for a shower while he instructed her to carry on pleasuring the other dude with still in her hair. He's 78, maybe he tried to squeeze a fart out and it went wrong while he was getting, pleasured off her or whatever. It's said as if this was a thing. I don't know if this was a thing.
The amended complaint filed in January 2025 added more details and named additional people, including Brock Lesnar and WWE producer Michael Hayes. This lawsuit has had significant ramifications for everyone involved. Vince McMahon, who had already stepped down as WWE CEO in 2022 amid an investigation into hush money payments, resigned as executive chairman of TKO in January 2024 when the lawsuit was filed. According to CNN Business, WWE's board had investigated a $3 million hush money payment and found that McMahon had made $12 million in payments to 4 women, 2 of whom alleged sexual misconduct. For Brock Lesnar, the consequences have also been significant. His last WWE appearance was in 2023, and he was notably pulled from the Royal Rumble event in early 2025 after the amended lawsuit was filed. Reports suggest that WWE is waiting for the legal situation to blow over before considering his return. The controversy has also affected WWE as a whole. When the lawsuit was first filed in January 2024, Slim Jim withdrew its sponsorship of the Royal Rumble, showing that the allegations were serious enough to impact business relationships. It's worth mentioning that McMahon has consistently denied all allegations. His attorney has described the amended complaint as a publicity stunt filled with desperate falsehoods. The case is still ongoing, with recent filings in March 2025 addressing attempts to block the amended complaint. It was temporarily paused from June to December 2024 at the request of the U.S. Department of Justice, pending a federal investigation, but is now proceeding. It's also important to note that the SEC announced on January 10, 2025, that McMahon had agreed to pay a $400,000 fine and reimburse $1.3 million to WWE for false accounting related to undisclosed NDAs, including a 2019 $7.5 million payment and the 2022 $3 million payment to Grant. But what exactly does the lawsuit claim about Lesnar's involvement? Brock Lesnar's involvement and fan reactions. As mentioned earlier, Lesnar was named in the amended complaint filed by Janelle. According to the documents, McMahon allegedly offered Grant to Lesnar for sex in 2021 as part of negotiations to secure Lesnar's contract with WWE. The lawsuit specifically claims that McMahon demanded Grant create personalized sexual content for Lesnar. In the original lawsuit filed by Grant, she alleged that Vince instructed her to make sexual pictures and videos to send to Brock Lesnar as part of a negotiation to get him to re-sign with WWE.
And this is where Brock Lesnar comes into it. Now, I'm a big Brock Lesnar fan, right? But this just is a bit weird now because Vince has instructed her to make sexual pictures and videos to send Brock Lesnar as a part of some sort of negotiation he was having with Brock in order to get him to re-sign with the WWE. And it kind of comes across as some weird sort of like banter between Vince and Brock.
According to the lawsuit, McMahon allegedly texted Grant saying, "Here's what he said after I told him that the part of the deal was you." Brock replied, "Lol, that's your turf. She will be ruined after me and leave your ass. Plus, after me, your tool won't fit anymore," followed by laughing emojis. This text suggests that Lesnar was somewhat dismissive of McMahon's offer, referring to Grant as your chick and indicating he wasn't interested in this weird thing. However, the lawsuit also claims that Lesnar later directly messaged Grant asking for a video of her urinating, which she allegedly provided. Additionally, there was supposedly a planned sexual encounter between Lesnar and Grant during a business meeting with McMahon, but it allegedly didn't happen because Lesnar was either following this failed encounter. McMahon allegedly had rough sex with Grant while role-playing as Lesnar, a particularly bizarre detail in an already strange and disturbing case. It's important to emphasize again that Lesnar is not a defendant in this lawsuit. He has been named in the allegations, but he is not being sued directly. The focus of the lawsuit remains on Vince McMahon, WWE, and John Laurinaitis. Nevertheless, being associated with such serious allegations has undoubtedly impacted Lesnar's reputation and career. Speaking of his career, Lesnar's last WWE appearance was in 2023, and he was notably pulled from the Royal Rumble event in early 2025 after the amended lawsuit was filed. Interestingly, this wasn't the first time this had happened. He was also scheduled to appear at the Royal Rumble in 2024, but was pulled after the original lawsuit was filed. Reports suggest that WWE is waiting for the legal situation to blow over before considering his return, given his status as a major attraction, despite the allegations. This raises interesting questions about how organizations handle allegations like these, and when or if it's appropriate for performers to return after being implicated in such controversies. Now let's shift our focus to fan reactions. As you might expect, the wrestling community has been deeply divided over Lesnar's involvement in this scandal. On social media platforms like X, formerly Twitter and Reddit, fans have expressed a wide range of opinions, from outrage to defense. On X, some users expressed hope that Lesnar would not return to WWE, with one user stating, "Praying him, Vince, and Laurinaitis all rot in hell," indicating deep disapproval of his alleged actions. Another declared, "I used to love him as the Beast, but now, I'm done. Can't support someone involved in this mess," highlighting how the allegations have affected fans' perceptions of Lesnar. Some X-users noted that many fans were calling for boycotts of WWE because of Lesnar's involvement, showing how these allegations can have broader implications for the wrestling industry as a whole. One user expressed frustration, saying, "Fans are calling for his head, saying he knew what was going on," adding to the pressure against his return. On Reddit, particularly in the R-Squared Circle community, the discussions have been equally divided. Some fans defended Lesnar, noting that he was married to Sable for around 20 years, so I doubt he knew the criminal nature of the acts, suggesting he might have been unaware of the full context of the situation. Others were much more critical, with blunt comments like, "Fuck Brock Lesnar," showing strong disapproval. Some Reddit users focused on the moral implications of Lesnar's alleged actions, discussing Lesnar's moral reprehensibility for potential infidelity, given his marriage status during the events. This adds another layer to the controversy, as it touches on personal ethics beyond the legal aspects of the case. An interesting aspect of the fan discussions is the nuance some bring to the table. Some fans have pointed out that Lesnar's involvement was minimal, noting that texts show Vince sent a picture of the victim and Lesnar responded positively tentatively, but no physical meeting due to a snowstorm, which may temper some reactions. This detail is less visible in broader social media outrage, but significant in deeper fan discussions. Many fans believe that Lesnar's WWE career is effectively over due to these allegations. One Reddit user commented, "He'll never get the stink of this off of him. It's over," reflecting a belief that the damage to his reputation is irreparable. However, others are more optimistic, with one user noting, "Half this sub still thinks he's coming out during the Rumble El Mao," indicating that some fans still hope or believe he might return despite the controversy. This division in fan opinion reflects the complexity of the situation. On one hand, Lesnar is not being sued directly, and his involvement, as alleged, was more peripheral than that of McMahon or Laurinaitis. On the other hand, the nature of the allegations is serious, and many fans feel they cannot support someone who would participate in such behavior, even in a limited capacity. The controversy around Lesnar is part of a broader conversation about separating art from artist, or in this case, performer from performance. Wrestling fans have long had to grapple with this question, as various performers have been implicated in controversies over the years. The Lesnar situation is just the latest example, albeit a particularly high-profile one, given his status as one of the biggest stars in wrestling history. It's also worth noting how these allegations fit into the broader context of Vince McMahon's legacy and the culture he cultivated at WWE. McMahon has faced numerous controversies throughout his career, including a 1990s steroid abuse scandal where he was indicted but acquitted, and accusations of enabling abuse within WWE, such as allegedly covering up for wrestlers like Steve Austin in domestic violence cases. Many fans have expressed frustration not just with the alleged behavior itself, but with what they see as a toxic culture that McMahon fostered at WWE. Some have criticized his creative decisions as well, arguing that they prioritize personal gain over fairness to performers. For example, some fans pointed to decisions like sacrificing Asuka's championship reign for Charlotte Flair's main event at WrestleMania 35 as evidence of McMahon's self-serving leadership style. This broader dissatisfaction with McMahon's leadership, both in terms of ethical lapses and creative decisions, has contributed to declining viewership for WWE programming, outpacing general TV trends, according to WrestleNomics. The broader implications and future outlook. Welcome back to the final part of our exploration into the controversy surrounding Vince McMahon and Brock Lesnar. By now, we've established that there is no new viral party footage of the two, contrary to rumors, and we've examined the serious allegations involving both men and how fans have reacted. In this final segment, we'll look at the broader implications of this controversy for WWE and the wrestling industry as a whole, and consider what the future might hold for all involved. First, let's take a step back and consider the impact these allegations have had on WWE as a company. When the original lawsuit was filed in January 2024, the reaction was swift and significant. Slim Jim immediately withdrew its sponsorship of the Royal Rumble, a clear indication that the allegations were serious enough to threaten business relationships. This kind of sponsor pullout can have substantial financial implications for a company like WWE, which relies heavily on corporate partnerships. In response to the lawsuit and the resulting fallout, Vince McMahon resigned as executive chairman of TKO Group, the parent company formed by WWE's 2023 merger with UFC, on January 26, 2024. This marked a significant shift in leadership for the company, as McMahon had been the dominant force in WWE for decades. In fact, McMahon had bought his father's World Wrestling Federation, WWF, in 1982, renamed it WWE, and expanded it globally during the 1980s wrestling boom, fundamentally shaping the company as we know it today. The departure of such a long-standing and influential leader would be significant for any company, but it's particularly impactful for WWE, where McMahon's vision and leadership style were so deeply ingrained in the corporate culture. As CNN Business noted, McMahon's creative decisions had been a point of contention for many fans, with WWE's TV ratings dropping faster than general trends. His departure has allowed for new creative directions under the leadership of Paul Triple H Levesque, which many fans have welcomed. Speaking of Triple H, his response to the lawsuit has been notably muted. When asked about the lawsuit at a press conference, Triple H claimed he had not read it despite it involving his father-in-law and the grandfather of his children. Instead, he focused on the business aspects of WWE, describing it as an amazing week for the company. This response was criticized by some as tone-deaf, given the serious nature of the allegations. It highlights the difficult position that WWE executives find themselves in, trying to distance the company from the scandal, while while also acknowledging the gravity of the situation. The allegations against McMahon and by extension Lesnar have also raised broader questions about the culture within WWE and the wrestling industry as a whole. Grant's lawsuit claimed that WWE's legal department made it clear that they were highly reactive and retaliatory, suggesting systemic issues beyond just individual behavior. This aligns with allegations from Grant's attorney, Ann Callis, who in September 2024 described a culture of corruption at WWE. Such claims suggest that the issues go beyond just McMahon's individual actions and point to deeper systemic problems within the organization. The controversy has also highlighted the power dynamics at play in the wrestling industry. McMahon, as the head of WWE, held enormous power over employees' careers. This kind of power imbalance can create situations where individuals feel unable to speak out or resist inappropriate behavior for fear of professional consequences. The Grant lawsuit brings these dynamics into sharp focus, raising important questions about workplace safety and ethics in the entertainment industry. Now let's turn our attention to the current status of the legal proceedings. As of April 2nd, 2025, the lawsuit is still ongoing. In May 2024, Grant agreed to pause the lawsuit for 6 months at the request of the U.S. Department of Justice, pending a federal investigation. This stay was lifted in December 2024, allowing the case to proceed. In March 2025, Grant filed a reply brief opposing efforts by McMahon, WWE, and Laurinaitis to block the amended complaint. She argued that new developments, including SEC findings against McMahon for failing to disclose hush money payments, should be considered in the case. The defendants, however, are pushing for private arbitration, citing a January 2022 NDA with a $1 million payment, which Grant's team contests. Judge Sarah F. Russell is expected to decide whether to allow the amended complaint or proceed with the original. It's worth noting that the SEC announced on January 10, 2025, that McMahon had agreed to pay a $400,000 fine and reimburse $1.3 million to WWE for false accounting related to undisclosed NDAs, including a 2019 $7.5 million payment and the 2022 $3 million payment to Grant. This agreement with the SEC does not resolve the lawsuit, but it does acknowledge that McMahon failed to properly disclose these payments, adding another layer to the ongoing legal saga. The lawsuit also intersects with a related state court case in Connecticut against Dr. Carlin Kolker and Peak Wellness for withheld medical records, adding further complexity to the legal landscape. As the legal proceedings continue to unfold, they will likely have ongoing implications for all parties involved, as well as for WWE as a company. Looking to the future, what might be next for the key players in this controversy? For Vince McMahon, the legal battles are far from over. In addition to the ongoing lawsuit with Grant, he may face further scrutiny from federal investigators. His reputation has been severely damaged by these allegations, and it's difficult to imagine a scenario where he returns to a prominent role in WWE or the wrestling industry more broadly. For Brock Lesnar, the future is somewhat more uncertain. While he is not a defendant in the lawsuit, his association with the allegations has undoubtedly tarnished his image. As one Reddit user put it, he'll never get the stink of this off of him. It's over, reflecting a belief that the damage to his reputation is irreparable. However, reports suggest that WWE is waiting for the legal situation to blow over before considering his return, given his status as a major attraction. Whether Lesnar does return to WWE will likely depend on a variety of factors, including how the legal proceedings play out, how fans continue to react to his involvement, and how WWE's leadership evaluates the potential benefits versus the risks of bringing him back. It's a complex calculus that involves business considerations, ethical judgments, and public relations strategies. For WWE as a company, the post-McMahon era represents both challenges and opportunities. On one hand, the allegations against McMahon and the resulting controversy have damaged the company's reputation and potentially alienated some fans and sponsors. On the other hand, McMahon's departure has allowed for new creative directions under Triple H, which many fans have welcomed as a refreshing change. WWE's TV ratings had been declining faster than general trends under McMahon's leadership, suggesting that his creative decisions were not resonating with the audience. A new creative vision might help reverse this trend and attract lapsed fans back to the product. Additionally, the merger with UFC to form TKO in September 2023 has positioned WWE within a larger entertainment sports company, potentially providing more stability and resources as it navigates this challenging period. For the wrestling industry as a whole, the McMahon controversy has sparked important conversations about power, ethics, and workplace culture. Wrestling has long had a reputation for problematic behind-the-scenes behavior, from substance abuse issues to harassment and discrimination. The high-profile nature of the McMahon lawsuit may serve as a catalyst for broader reform within the the industry, as companies recognize the potential legal, financial, and reputational risks of allowing toxic workplace cultures to persist. The True Geordie YouTube channel, in their coverage of the case, raised questions about Grant's agency in the situation, noting that as a 44-year-old woman, she made choices throughout her relationship with McMahon. While emphasizing that McMahon's alleged behavior was wrong and creepy, the host argued that Grant knew what she was getting into from the beginning.
And I'm not saying that makes Vince a good person. Yeah, he's shitty. Yeah, it's a bit creepy. But you knew this. Convenient amnesia we're looking at here. I get if you'd been working there for 5 years and out of the blue this happens, that's very inappropriate. But this isn't that. From day one, he said, this is what I want from you. And you went, yeah, okay then, I'll take the money.
This perspective has been criticized by some as victim blaming, while others see it as a valid point about adult responsibility. The debate highlights the complex ethical issues at play in this case and the different ways people interpret and respond to allegations of misconduct. As the legal proceedings continue to unfold, we'll undoubtedly learn more about the allegations and their implications. For now, what's clear is that this controversy has already had substantial impacts on the careers of those involved, on WWE as a company, and on the wrestling industry as a whole.